Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So last week I reviewed Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and this week I'm going to be reviewing Charlie and the Chocolate Factory because the new Wonka movie's coming out, and I thought I'd talk about both movies. And I'll be honest with you guys, I had never seen this movie before. Um, I'd seen bits and pieces of it. I love Tim Burton. I've pretty much seen all of his movies. There's a couple like Big Eyes and some random ones I haven't seen, but for the most part, I've seen all of his movies. And so, watching this movie for the very first time, oh boy, I hated this movie. There's no other way to slice it. I guess I'll start with my experience with this movie. Like I said, never seen it. I do remember my brother, my older brother. He used to watch this movie. I think it aired on Disney Channel or something like that, and then it was on TV, and he used to watch it from time to time. That's all I really remember of this movie. I don't remember much about when this movie came out. What year did this movie come out? I think it was 2005. So I was probably about 2 when this movie came out. So I was, yeah, 2005. So I was 2 when this movie came out. So there's no way I would have seen it. And I've always just seen the original. I don't even think we ever owned this one in the house. I found this copy at a Dollar General. It's pretty nice to actually copy if you like the movie, which I don't. So I will not be keeping this copy, to be honest. Let me show you here, though. You got a little introductory thing with director Tim Burton. I actually might keep this just because it is a cool collector's piece, but I don't know if I really want to. There's this little booklet, images, cast and crew, all that type of stuff. Doesn't really have any read-ups. It's just images from this god-awful movie. And they get the Blu-ray, which has got some special features. This is a 10th anniversary edition, so there's some new special features and cool stuff on it, if you like that sort of thing. I don't know if this edition is still in print anymore, but yeah, it would be nice to get this one in 4K just for the fans, I guess. But I'm not a fan, so let's get into this. I don't know why I'm whispering. I really hated this movie, like I said. I think my biggest problem with this movie is I feel like this movie and Alice in Wonderland are the biggest examples of movies that when you hear a director's name attached to the project, that sounds fucking amazing. Willy Wonka being adapted by Tim Burton, right? Because Tim Burton's got a very visual sense of style and tone to him, and bringing that to Willy Wonka is like, you can understand why a studio might think that would work. Alice in Wonderland, very distinct tone and vibe to it, and you understand why a studio might think that might work. Though I don't understand why they thought that might work after this fucking movie, but we'll talk about that. It's like the biggest problem with this movie is like there is no tone or vibe to it. Well, no, there's a tone to it, but there's no fun, right? This whole movie just misses the point of the original. Like in the original, um, the whole movie was very whimsical and fun, and that's kind of the vibe of the movie. This movie, it's very drab look, very ugly. There's not a lot of color and life to it. When there is color, it's very muted, dull colors. And it's just like, well, why would I want to watch that? There's so many things that this movie just gets wrong for that misses the entire point. Like in the original, the whole point of why Charlie got picked to win the contest was not because he was the last survivor, like it is in this movie. It's because he was the only one that was good of heart. He was the one who, was tricked by Slugsworth to maybe give him the gobstopper, but Wonka saw that he wasn't going to do that, and so he gave him the factory. That was the whole point of everything that happened in the original movie. So then you watch this movie, and it's just, they missed that point. There's just so many things like that. There's no musical numbers in this movie other than the Oompa Loompas. The Oompa Loompas are quite bad looking. It's a terrible CGI from 2005. In fact, all the CGI in this movie is pretty bad, to be honest. Some of it looks okay, but for the most part, most of it's pretty bad and pretty fake looking. I think the only part is the actual chocolate factory itself looks okay when they're first entering it, but after that, it just starts getting worse and worse. And just the yeah, and just nobody's performances really stand out. I mean, I think all the kids in the original had stronger performance and really gave it their all. This movie, you watch it, it's very dull. Johnny Depp is freaking terrible in this movie. This was the thing, is like after Pirates, like Johnny Depp just kind of started doing this I'm a crazy guy stick thing that he's been doing for like several years, hasn't stopped. And it's awful in this movie. What a god awful performance. Just disgusting. Like, and then this whole like thing with his father and all these details. Why? Who really cares about it? It's just like it's all this extra detail while missing the important details of the original. And this movie is actually longer than the original, and by God, it feels it. It's only like now, like probably like 10, 15 minutes longer, but still, it feels it because it's just it's not story added to this movie that matters. I guess I appreciate that they tried and added things different, right? This isn't a Lion King 2019 where it's just the movie has no reason to exist. This is a very different experience than the original, but it's still like, it's just still god awful. I guess we'll start. I guess I'll say something I appreciate about the movie. I don't want this review just to be all negative. Though I'm just gonna be real. It's negative because this movie stinks. Don't watch it. Just don't. Unless you're a mega Tim Burton fan and you suck his dick every time he makes a movie. Because I've met a lot of those in my lifetime, and I hate having conversations with them because you can't convince them out of it. They just love Tim Burton with no facts or logic behind it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like his work. I love a lot of his movies. I used to be a mega fan, but there are some movies that he made that are not good, like this one. What I like about this movie, well, okay, not what I like, what I appreciate. I appreciate that they did actually take more stuff from the actual book than the original movie did. Roald Dahl was not actually a fan of how much they had changed from his original book. I think it made a stronger movie, but I can understand that from his perspective, being the person who wrote and created this. You want the adaptation to somewhat reflect your vision, and it didn't really do that. So I appreciate that they tried to put some things in here, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. This movie shit, and the stuff that they add from the book into this movie again just misses the point of the original. And it's just nothing. It's just a worthless movie. Just of no value. It really just isn't. Unless you're a mega Tim Burton fan, like I said. But you gotta be a mega one to really enjoy this. I feel like when this movie came out, there was defenders of this movie who enjoyed this movie, right? I don't hear anyone talk about it now. It's pretty gone in the conversation, right? All we do is just talk about the original. And that's for a reason. This is not a good movie. It's not worth watching. But, yeah.